Hey mate, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. So you?
Good, thank you. Good, thank you. Could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name's Rod. Yeah, joined the
Yeah.
program towards the end of last year.
Yeah. Awesome, mate. Awesome. It's always weird at the start when I say, "Can you introduce yourself?" People are like, this is my name." Um, but I guess yeah, we worked together for quite some time. But what result did you kind of achieve, and what changes did you
Yeah,
notice when we were while we're working together?
yeah, sure. So there's a couple, I guess. When we first started, there's a few quick results, I guess, that we were looking at. One was the wanted to get better in my 5K. I kind of hit a bit of a plateau with that before coming through to joining up. So we had that one, and the other one was, I guess, a big goal for me was the getting the training support to do the half marathon.
Yeah.
Never run a half before. It's always been on the bucket list to do that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that was kind of one of the motivations coming through is you get that, guidance and support and how to actually hit that goal. And through that, that was the big, I guess probably the big area for me was the food side of things,
Yeah.
nutrition. And yeah, coupling that all together, that was part of it, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah.
coming on.
Absolutely. So yeah, they were probably like the two milestones that we did work together was that 5K because you were doing those like park runs every now and then. You
Yeah,
couldn't break 23 minutes and
yeah, yeah,
I remember at the start it was pretty much like you just got to like trust the process, work towards it, build and focus
yeah,
on certain things. And then um the half marathon was more so like the main goal this year, which he smashed, which was absolutely awesome. But
yeah,
in even you touching on the nutrition side there quickly, what did you feel, or like how long did it take for you to kind of see any changes in terms of like energy or performance or
yeah.
anything? Because from memory, you were under eating for
Yeah,
how active you were.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely. Yeah, that's really the biggest thing for me, I think, out of this whole journey was getting that, I guess, real understanding of fuel, and the intake that I needed for the amount of effort that I was putting in. Um, yeah, like when we first started, I was basically a lot of my meals were just, store-bought microwave meals that, that I
mm,
was just feeling like, that would get as easy and it would tick the box of what I was eating, but soon realized I was way under with
yeah,
what I needed on the carb side. Like I just was not getting enough in. It was pretty quick. Like for me, once we actually had the real structure of, with the meal plans of actually, and then tracking, that was probably a key one for me as well, and throughout the program, we tracked the weight and there's a few times where I dropped a bit of weight and we are like, okay, let's dial it back in. And I quickly realized there's a few lessons I learned with the type of food that I was buying and whatever.
yeah,
Yeah, to make sure we were hitting those goals. But as soon as I was doing that, yeah, I'd say probably within the first month, I kind of noticed a difference. And it helped with, having that fuel is what allowed me to actually add the volume, add the extra training, and actually keep hitting, increasing and getting better with the times and the running, which
yeah,
historically that was my problem. That's why, when I look back, that was probably why I plateaued with a lot of that stuff.
mm,
A decent reason for it would be that because I didn't have the structure, but also I didn't wasn't eating right, so I wasn't
yeah,
putting the food back in when I was doing those sessions. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And even I guess like you raise a few points there, and like what things were like before we started working together. And I do remember you not being the biggest fan of strength training,
yeah,
and
yeah, yep,
that flipped
yep,
on its head pretty pretty
yeah,
quickly. Quickly, you were like, I'm really enjoying the strength side of stuff. But I guess
yep,
it was having for you what I noticed seeing those changes and what worked for you was like that structure and not just doing more for the sake of doing more and just
yeah,
managing that load and figuring
yep,
out what's actually going to benefit you because you also were doing tennis once a week as well, which
yeah,
again is like another activity, another output that we have to take into consideration
yep.
because I can't just give you a program and just load you and then go, yeah, go do tennis and then do this, but I also
That's
want you to do this. Like it doesn't work. So
yep,
I guess maybe we could touch on a little bit what things look like from that perspective for you, and what kind of like problems or frustrations you felt like you were kind of dealing with beforehand.
Yeah. With the training side of things, it's that structure. That was probably the thing that I couldn't, I struggle with a little bit is navigating, yeah, as you said, like I was juggling a few different things. Like, I had tennis, I had running. They were all things that I guess were important to me that I wanted to continue doing, but then trying to get them all in and still see results. And I wasn't able to do that. Like, and a lot of that came down to like with my running, it was, I kind of also one of the things you kind of help with is, not every session has to be a PB. Like that's not what it's about. Like it's, so you've got your slow, long, easy runs that, that's what you need to be building the base on. And then you've got your pace sessions, which are the ones that I enjoyed. But then to have that which allowed you to actually fit that all in the week. And that's ultimately how you progress and you get more, overall by building your engine. So having that structure and also I guess for me that having that flexibility where you still were able to put the things that were important to me. So,
Mm,
there's a few times at the start where I was struggling with some of the getting the long runs in, and you were like, okay, let's tailor this for this couple of weeks. You don't need, we'll bring the distance down a little bit because just where we were at with that. And also keeping tennis in there, like that was super important. I didn't want to, that's something that, fills my cup. So
yeah.
I wanted to do that. So having the program designed to encompass all of that kind of,
Mm,
yeah, that's, kept me engaged, like, because I was ticking the things that I wanted to do and it was, working around what was happening with me at the time. So, which is
yeah.
good.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that because a lot of people feel like when they do these things that they have to commit to just doing every single session and they can't do things that they enjoy. But one of my like
Yeah.
big mantras is like you exercise as an outlet and to like I see it as more as like a mental benefit than as a
Yeah.
physical benefit. So if you're not enjoying what you're doing, you're not going to get the most out of it anyway. And I could see how important tennis was to you just from like how you spoke about it and what you were doing. And it's like, of course, I'd love for you to do that. So it's about incorporating those things in there. And I find that like you end up getting better results anyway because you're doing things that, like you said,
Yep.
fill your cup. So then when you're doing
Yep.
other things outside of that that can help it, you're like, oh, this is awesome. I can do tennis, I can run, I can strength train, and I can still live a normal life. Like, and I think that's where a lot of people get confused and kind of
Yeah.
overload too much.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, it's cool that you touch on that. It's a pretty good point to kind of
And
look at.
the
Yeah.
other thing as well that I'd probably just add a little bit to that is it not only like in so having doing the program with the training and the running, it actually benefited. I mean, the goal was my running, but my tennis actually benefited so much from it as well too. Like from the work that we were doing, with the strength training, with the running, it
Yeah.
actually, just went hand in hand and seeing the extra results in that. So it all kind of just tied in together as like a positive result. So it was kind of cool to see that things happening in running, but then also seeing at tennis as well. That was stuff that was improving too. So yeah,
Yeah.
it all kind of floated nicely.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I guess from off the back of all that, we you got that sub 23 5K, which is
Yep.
what we were working towards, which
Yep.
was something you just
Yep.
couldn't break. But
Yeah.
I would say
Yeah.
you're a serial offender of just going to park run every week.
Uh, just doing the same thing every week,
Love
hard
that.
at every.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
but broke that. What did we end up getting? Was it a 22-20 or something like that? Like it was
22,
pretty.
20. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was low
Yep.
22s, which
Yep.
was awesome. And
Yeah.
then I guess going from that more speed focused block to then building to the
Yeah.
your first half marathon, which was always a bit of a goal for you.
Yep.
Like, tell us a bit about how you found that experience and I guess the time that you got because it's pretty impressive for your first one as well.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's interesting. It was, I guess, a shift in, as I said, I've always focused on doing the short, sharp running. So then getting into like, focusing on getting familiar with distance. The thing that I liked with what we were doing in the program, it was a gradual build up to it. It wasn't like, you're going from a 5K or 10. I was doing 10Ks, but like 10Ks and up to, okay, now we're up to like 15, 20Ks. We gradually got over that, and it wasn't until towards the end of the block that we were actually getting into like the 19Ks where, and I felt fine with it, like as adding the
Mm.
extra couple of Ks in, and then you'd have and we also did over the blocks where you'd have like a rest week,
Yeah.
deload week, then you
Yeah.
stepping up again. loved a good deload week.
Yeah.
But it was that process felt comfortable. Like it didn't feel daunting, not having, originally going into the half, I was like, God, I don't know how I'm going to do a half marathon. But in doing it in that gradual process, it felt, achievable. Going on to race day, I felt confident that,
Mm,
we'd put all the work in. I'd done all the training sessions beforehand by that, gradual process that it was fine and got some really get some confidence when we did some of the a couple of the long sessions beforehand where we introduced some of the race pace for half of it and felt happy with, going, oh, we've done half, like 9Ks at race pace and the other, 10 at just easy pace. Oh, I could probably do more than that at race pace and felt
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So having that gave me the confidence on the race day to kind of go, we're good.
Mm,
And even leading up, there's a few hiccups leading up to it. Like I got sick beforehand and whatever. So there was that. But
yeah.
still, even with that, I felt like, I've done the work. Like I've done the effort to get there. Um, so yeah, I like that structure with it. Like, that kind of kept it it also with it changing as well, it wasn't, you're not just doing the same, we have those, as I was saying before, you have those deload weeks as well to kind of bring it back so that you're not
Yeah.
just feel like you're just rinsing, repeating the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, no, it's good. I, yeah, going into it, that it kind of eased that concern of like, I don't know how I'm going to get there. But by doing it bit by bit and then, trusting the process,
Yeah.
yeah, it all came together.
Yeah. And you end up getting a 150, was it
Yeah.
152? What was it? What was it?
151.
151.
Yeah.
Unreal
Yeah.
for your first half
Yeah.
marathon
Yeah. Yeah.
too.
No.
Yeah.
So, and even that, like, I was kind of like, oh, now I want more. But yeah, that felt, like, I
Yeah.
guess when you kind of can get in that slippery slope, but it kind of going, I remember, when we first started the journey, it was like, I just want to get it done. So,
Yeah.
and then, decent pace. Yeah, pretty happy, yeah, with that
Yeah.
for the first.
No, that's awesome. And I love that you touched on a few things there, like the deload weeks to actually absorb the training. A lot of us are guilty of not doing that, just wanting to build
Yeah.
the volume crazily. But again, it's
Yep.
like it's building a plan around you and your life and what you can manage without getting injured, but also
Yep.
performing.
Yep.
And it's so funny that you said you love a deload week because I don't I think every single person I work with, they like curse me that third week. They're just like,
Yes.
I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you. And then they get the deload week. They're like, this is the best thing ever. And then you're
Yeah.
refreshed and you're ready to go. So
Yeah.
it was really cool to see you go from like it was a big build, like just going from just all out 5Ks all the time to
Mm.
then building
Yeah.
volume and then managing it and then doing a half and then like you said like finishing it and wanting more, and that's
Yeah.
what I guess is kind of like what I want for you guys is to enjoy the
Yeah.
experience so much that you go, oh, how good, now I want to do it again or I want to try a different event because
Yep.
like it gives you enjoy the process and you fall in love with the process and the race is just the reward.
Yeah.
So it's
That's Yeah,
yeah
100%. And I think that's one of the things. Like we talked about that, and it was good to kind of have that reflection. We had that chat before the race day to kind of, I was like, I was kind of guilty of getting in the race going, well, I'm fixating on time and wanting to have make it a perfect race. But when we chatted, and you were like, the race is not, it's just the end result of the training. Like enjoying the process of actually what's got you here is what should be more important. And it's kind of it helped with that moment to kind of, take that pressure off a little bit,
yeah
without, wanting it to be, fixating on we've worked out everything for this day. But then in fact, the whole process is what you should be celebrating, not the race itself. So
yeah
that kind of helped in that moment a little bit to kind of shift that away to be like and having so much expectation on what you want to do in one single day. It's like reflecting on the whole process of going, this has actually been a pretty big success to, do this. And it's been an enjoyable process with
yeah
that. So
Yeah, nah, unreal,
cool.
man, unreal. And I guess from all of that, what did you find was probably the most valuable or different in the approach that we took together
Yep.
for you?
I'd probably say my biggest takeaway was the nutrition side for me, I think.
Mm,
That yeah, completely, yeah, changed, for me actually then meal planning, meal prepping, cooking my own meals, getting them and getting
Mm,
the right food in. That I think was probably the biggest game changer in understanding it and having like a proper knowledge then to actually have the tools and to make those decisions myself.
yeah.
Because it's also helped with not only that, but then I do a bit of traveling for work as well. So having those tools to use on the road as well when I'm, interstate, doing that sort of thing. And then because I do that a bit throughout the program. So
Mm,
it then helped me go, it doesn't stop. Like the program doesn't stop when you go away. So you can continue doing this in, like a busy schedule. You can, fit
yeah.
that in. So yeah, I think that was probably the key. And then the structure would be the other as well. Like having the training structure, like that just gave me clarity around,
Yeah.
wasn't double thinking about what I needed to do with training, whatever. That was all just done for me.
Yeah.
Again, when you kind of like in a busy, that's some of the thing it's just nice. Like you don't have to worry about that stuff. You just go look in the app. This is what I got to do. Great, do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so, so those two things I think were probably the things that really shifted for me. Like that's what I didn't have that, before. So having that, with the program allowed me, I think,
Mm,
to hit those goals.
yeah. Yeah, that's so awesome. And it's so good to hear that perspective of it as well, because I feel like a lot of what I do is also education driven, but also to give you the tools so you can do stuff outside of not a perfect week, because a perfect week just doesn't exist. And like you
Yep.
said, you were gaining the knowledge and had the knowledge on making better decisions for you while you were traveling, and
Yep.
even um, starting to cook your own meals. Because even I remember when we started and you had a lot of pre-made meals, and I was like, that's okay. We don't have to eliminate that straight away, but it would be good to start implementing some cook meals and then progressively going from there, just so you can build, I guess, that habit of prepping your own food and then being on top of what you're eating on a daily basis, and also having that skill there. So I think that was super beneficial and really cool to see you go from one side of the coin to the other side.
No,
Okay.
froze.
Well, that's all right. We had some technical difficulties, but we're back on here. So
Yeah. All good.
even yeah, so the meal side of things, like I was saying before, is you going from then having ready-made meals consistently to then having that habit and that knowledge to build your own meals and be consistent with what you liked and what you found. And then that was actually fueling you and making sure that you were eating enough. And that was the biggest thing. That was probably
Yeah.
the biggest thing to see. But it was really cool to see that evolution across the
Yep.
program and just seeing you actually like do the thing and put the work in. Because a lot of people either like overcomplicate it and be like, I have to be on all the time. But it's like it's just
Yeah.
being consistent for a long period of time, and that's what's actually going to benefit
Yeah.
you. And I think that's why it was so good and clear as to why you were getting the results you were getting, just because you were like flexible, but you understood like
Yeah.
processes and why we were doing things.
Yep.
Um, so it's a credit to you. It was so like it's awesome to see, and it makes the experience hopefully enjoyable for you, but a
Yeah.
lot
Yeah.
a lot more like fulfilling from my end as well,
Yep.
to see that like what we're doing is actually working and benefiting you.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, I'm thankful that I've worked with you. It's good to have that kind of experience, I guess, from my end. But for someone that is potentially thinking about working with me, like what would you say to them?
Yeah. Yeah, I fully recommend it. And not just saying that, just 'cause you're on the call. But but genuinely from, going through the experience and also having done, I guess, some other online coaching as well. For me, yeah, having I guess the difference that I've found like with yourself is that's the saying, like customizing the program to fit in what works with me. With what's happening in my lifestyle with what I was looking at getting out, like my actual goals and working through with that has been, I think that's what's helped, make this a success. And then also the stuff that you do, which like literally what we're just saying then with the stuff that's, the tools that you can then help people to help themselves.
Yeah,
That's kind of you do a lot of your Q&A sessions as well. There's some stuff in there that I really have found valuable about beating yourself up about missing a day, a training day, and it just puts some things into perspective where you can kind of go, okay, well, you miss one day, we don't miss two. Like, just
Mm.
that type of thing to then, take that guilt away. And so a lot of that stuff was, helpful to just little bits and pieces that, you take away that you learn, you can put into long-term changes. And I think the big one that's thankful for me is the fuel, it's the nutrition. Like there's a lot of stuff that I've learned about that I'll just take away from this program that, definitely didn't have beforehand. So
Yeah.
yeah, 100% would say, yeah, do it.
Ah.
It's worth it. If you've got a goal and you're actually committed to actually hitting it, then yeah,
Yeah.
this helps you do that easily. So yeah,
Ah, you're a legend, mate. I really appreciate it. And I like that you said like if you have a goal, because it is like you have to have
yeah,
something to work towards. You
yeah,
can't just be pissing
yeah,
in the wind and just going, I want
yeah,
to just do this
yeah,
for no reason. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
it
yeah,
always helps, and it again helps you enjoy the process and be process driven. But like I was saying before, it was an absolute pleasure working with you, and I'm looking forward to seeing how you progress in the future, get that Achilles sorted out, um,
yeah.
and then we can go from there. But again, mate, like thank you so much for your time today and everything in between, and I'll chat to you soon.
Yeah, sounds good. Cheers.
Awesome. Cheers, mate.
All righty. Thanks, mate.